Death in ancient Egypt was viewed as a transition to eternal life. Both pharaohs and commoners believed that life after death was guaranteed through rituals and the preservation of the body, making it an essential aspect of life. Pharaohs were considered living gods, and their death did not signify the end, but the beginning of a new phase. Their immortality depended on elaborate practices that ensured their permanence in the afterlife alongside the gods. The pyramids, especially those in Giza, were not just tombs, but symbols of spiritual ascension and immortality. They ensured that the pharaoh found their place among the gods and ruled eternally in the afterlife. Mummification was essential to preserving the pharaoh's body for the afterlife. It involved the removal of organs, the use of natron, and wrapping the body in linen to prevent decomposition. Pharaohs were buried with valuable objects, food, and even weapons. These items were meant to ensure that the pharaoh had everything needed to live in the afterlife, reflecting the belief that eternal life was a continuation of earthly life. The Book of the Dead contained spells and enchantments that helped the pharaoh navigate the underworld. It provided protection and guidance to overcome challenges in the duat, until they reached Osiris, the god of the dead. While pharaohs had grand pyramids, commoners were buried in simple tombs or graves. However, like the pharaohs, they believed in life after death and sought to ensure a safe passage to the afterlife. Many commoners, unable to afford mummification, were buried in the desert sands, where the arid climate naturally desiccated and preserved their bodies, ensuring they could be used in the afterlife. Commoners were buried with small statuettes called shaptis, which served as substitutes for manual labor in the afterlife. Each statuette represented a servant who would perform tasks on behalf of the deceased. Even the poorest commoners included food and personal items in their tombs. They believed that these offerings would be used in the afterlife, ensuring the soul did not suffer from lack. After death, the soul was judged by the goddess Maat. Their heart was weighed against the feather of Maat. If the heart was lighter, the deceased would be accepted into the realm of Osiris. Otherwise, their soul would be destroyed. If the judgment was unfavorable, the soul was devoured by Maat, the soul devourer. This resulted in eternal death, a fate feared by the Egyptians, who saw eternal life as a reward for acts in life. Amulets like the Scarab were buried with the deceased to ensure a safe passage. These items held spiritual value and protected the soul during Maat's judgment, helping them achieve eternal life. Priests were essential in funerary rituals, performing ceremonies that guided the dead to the underworld. They ensured that the spirit followed the correct path and was welcomed by Osiris. Social class directly influenced funerary practices. While the rich built elaborate tombs, commoners were buried in shallow graves, reflecting their social status even in death. Many times, commoners were buried with only a few simple belongings. However, some older graves revealed collective tombs where modest jewelry and pottery were also offered to the deceased. The goddess Maat represented truth and justice in the judgment of the soul. Her role in the afterlife ensured that only those who lived a balanced and just life could reach paradise alongside Osiris. Commoners were often buried in collective cemeteries where families cooperated to perform the necessary rituals. These sites were simple, but followed the same spiritual principles to ensure eternal life. The pyramids, besides being tombs, were symbols of spiritual ascension. They represented the connection between the pharaoh and the gods, ensuring the deceased ruler continued to reign in eternal life alongside the gods. Ancient Egyptians believed that life after death was a continuation of earthly life. The preservation of the body, whether through mummification or natural desiccation, and religious rituals ensured that both pharaohs and commoners reached eternity. Want to explore more fascinating historical events? Subscribe to our channel and never miss out on the most intriguing stories from history.